Hello, friends. Gen Z is a group of generation born between 1997 to 2012. Gen Z is often called lazy, but in the end, they proved to be powerful and showed great bravery. Why? They managed to topple the Nepal government. Shocking. As a result, Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli resigned. On 4th September 2025, the Nepal government announced a ban on social media. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, were banned in Nepal. Why did this happen? The government had asked these companies to register, but they did not. So the ban was declared on 4th September to combat fake news and hate speech. People became extremely angry. They felt their freedom of speech and expression was being suppressed. They believed their voices were being silenced. This anger led to huge chaos. There were riots in Nepal. First, the Prime Minister's residence was set on fire. Second, the parliament was broken and vandalized. Third, the finance minister was dragged out, beaten by protesters in the streets. Unbelievable. Fourth, shockingly, former Prime Minister Jalanath Kanhal and his wife Rajlakshmi Chitrakar were torched and the wife died from burn injuries while being treated in the hospital. This was the shocking reality. The people of Nepal had had enough. Was their anger only because of the social media ban? No. After enduring hardship for many reasons for years, their patience finally broke and they were fed up. First, corruption was very high. Second, promises were made but broken. Third, inequality was clear and growing. And fourth, finally, the social media ban felt like an operation tool. It became the last tipping point. On 8th September 2025, thousands gathered in Kathmandu for a protest. Most were youth aged 20 to 25, students wearing uniforms, young people who spent hours online. They were organized by Hami Nepal, a youth NGO marching towards the parliament. Their banners read "No ban on voices" and hashtags like Nepal Revolt trended as hopeful messages. The protest was streamed on social media using VPN as apps were blocked. At first, the protest was peaceful. Police used rubber bullets, tear gas, and water cannons to control the crowd. Protesters were marching towards the parliament. They pushed closer. The police then fired live bullets. People were shot and bodies fell. Hospitals became overcrowded. On that day, 19 Nepalese died. More than 300 people were injured. This went viral on social media. Among the dead was a 12-year-old child. The incident went viral on social media. The image of the dead child intensified public outrage. People felt the government did not care about its citizens. The image of the 12-year-old child who couldn't be revived was ingrained in their mind. They could not remain silent and had to respond. Protests erupted in other cities as shown above. More police were deployed across the country. Curfews were imposed by the police, but people ignored them. Images of the 12-year-old killed in the streets seared through the nation's conscience, leading to the outrage. The protest was peaceful. However, after the police killed the child, the people wanted to avenge. People gathered in huge numbers. Protesters started burning political homes, government buildings, the parliament, residences of prime minister and offices. Residents of former prime ministers were torched and vandalized. And the finance minister was dragged and beaten. Ministers feeling unsafe from the frenzy even forced helicopter rescues. Social media clips showed troops evacuating officials who ran away scared. People were furious, especially because of the 12-year-old child was killed. The image of the child stayed in their minds, fueling chaos. Nepal's economy suffered a severe decline. Nepal tourism, a major global draw, was disrupted as travelers cancelled their plans. Imports and exports came to a halt. Many people lost their jobs. Hospitals became overwhelmed and crowded. Families mourned the loss of their children, creating a deeply tragic situation. Student leader Eugen Raj Bhandari reminded viewers, "We were triggered by the social media ban, but that is not the only reason we are gathered here." Because every line of mega corruption, every nepo kid flaunt, and every sign of nepotistic rule had fueled this revolt. People nationwide remain united, marching with banners and protest. Bhumika Bharti, another young protester, noted that foreigners were watching. Nepal's corruption is being exposed and people will not stay quiet. When an NDTV report confirmed 19 killed by the police and 300 plus injured, this heartbreaking scenario was spread worldwide. The commentator said, "Now our voices will only get louder. People will have to listen to us. The future is ours." They responded firmly. As protest figure Sudan Gurung triumphantly declared an Instagram live, "The Nepal government has fallen. The youth has won the protest. The future is ours." The Nepal government has banned social media. They want to silence the people. This goes against the freedom of speech. They aim to control the Nepalese like a dictator. Such control will not bring silence but will trigger a revolt against the government. They are notorious for high corruption. It also promotes nepotism, allowing family members of ministers, including the Prime Minister, Finance, and Foreign Ministers, to secure positions of power and opportunity. The children of these ministers can afford luxury accessories, clothes, cars, and homes. Meanwhile, the gap between the common people is widening. Jobs are given to family members within the government while citizens struggle for basic sustenance. This disparity is growing. In 2024, 80% of the youth had jobs, while 20% did not. This means that out of every 5 youth, 4 had jobs and 1 did not. This results in a youth unemployment rate of 20.82%. Due to poor employment opportunities in Nepal, many youth migrate abroad for work. In February 2024, 15,000 Nepali youth moved to Russia to join the Russian military during the Russia-Ukraine war. Russia had appealed for volunteers and Nepalese responded. These 15,000 youth went to Russia. One would expect extensive training, but it lasted only a few weeks. After this short training, they were sent to the front lines, while Russians stayed further back. During the war, many Nepali youth lost their lives. Their coffins were sent back to Nepal. They accepted this risk to provide for their families. They sacrificed their lives for survival. They were paid $4,000, which converted to 5 lakh Nepali rupees. This high pay was crucial for them. It is heartbreaking that they were willing to risk and lose their lives. Nepal's government officials can afford luxury items like Gucci bags from abroad. Meanwhile, ordinary people mourn their children as coffins return home. This is a stark contrast. One receives luxury, the other loses a child. This deepens public bitterness. The government should notice this and support the youth, but it does not. They show fake sympathy and continue giving job positions to their families. People feel hurt and angry, leading to revolt. Hashtag like Nepo Kids, Nepo Baby, and others trended against government corruption. One might expect the government to change, but it does not. They ignore the people and focus on selfish interest, and they appoint their own members as foreign ministers, allowing them to travel abroad. Finance ministers are also appointed similarly. No opportunities are given to the general public. People gave the government many chances, but now they are fed up, which is why they protested. Government has broken all promises. Secondly, they spoke of reforms, but nothing lasted. It tapered off. They ignored Supreme Court orders and show no equality. Now they are banning free speech for the youth, which has led to chaos and huge protest. Nepal's youth are frustrated by the same politicians of 70 plus. They are repeatedly forming governments only for them to disband. People were unhappy and with no improvement, they protested, but the issue remained unresolved. People in Nepal have suggested to restore the monarchy. As they have said it, will Nepal really restore monarchy? No, people just said it out of anger. Let me share its history. Actually, before 2008, Nepal's country was a monarchy. All the power was not with the politician but with the king. There were two big movements in 2006. One was the 2006 Lok Tantra movement and the other one was the Maoist insurgency. In 2008, the last king, King Gyanendra, was removed. Then from 2008 to 2025, Nepal was a federal democratic republic. Since then, 17 years have passed in democracy. Nepal has changed governments 13 times in 17 years, far more than the usual 3 or 4. Is this justifiable? 13 governments in 17 years. This means Nepal government was not effective. Surprisingly, the power kept rotating between family members. Sometimes K.P. Sharma becomes the Prime Minister. Sometimes Pushpa Kamal Dahal, and sometimes Sher Bahadur Deuba. They form unions and break up after a few months. This isn't appropriate. Nepal has two dominant political forces, the Nepali Congress and the Nepali Communists. The Nepali Communists have two major parties, CPN-UML and CPN-MC. The wife of the head of the Nepali Congress, Arzu Rana Dawa, is the Foreign Affairs Minister of Nepal. She is accused of diverting funds for family gain instead of national development, indicating serious irregularities. The CPN-UML and the Communist Party formed unions and broke up every time. They even converted a tea estate into a commercial plot. However, the Supreme Court did not approve it, yet they went ahead, committed corruption, and broke the law. People have noticed the ongoing corruption and numerous irregularities. People were aggrieved by the inequality, unemployment, corruption, and nepotism. Lastly, the government suddenly imposed a ban on social media. People started protesting due to these reasons. And why did the social media ban intensify the anger? In Nepal's economy, tourism plays a very important role, and it is very dependent on social media. Social media helps with outreach and bookings in tourism industry. More than 70 lakh Nepalis live in foreign countries for jobs and studies. How will they contact their family members without social media? This ban affects employment and income while benefiting the ruling families. This escalated the issue. When people protested, the government told them to stay silent, stop giving advice, and obey. These leaders were elected by the people through democracy. A government should consult its citizens. But instead, they acted like an authoritarian regime. So people revolted, leading to countrywide protests. By 9 September, Nepal government officials and Prime Minister Oli resigned. In came a caretaker government led by Sushila Karki, a former Supreme Court Chief Justice. Sushila Karki is the first female Prime Minister of Nepal. Elections are scheduled for March 2026. Karki has been appointed as Prime Minister till then. Karki's interim cabinet included reform oriented ministers tasked for stabilizing the country, investigating abuses, restoring trust. The government has also declared those 19 people killed in the protests as martyrs. A, a national day of mourning was declared. Families of the deceased were promised compensation, about 1 million rupees each. Free medical care for injured protesters. Government promise for redevelopment, trust must be rebuilt. However, people now struggle to trust and will only regain faith if the government proves to be effective. Other stories are also being circulated in the media. Nepali king Tribhuvan Bir Bikram Shah once offered then Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru to make Nepal a province of India. But Jawaharlal Nehru rejected his proposal, saying Nepal must remain independent. This claim appears in former Indian President Pranab Mukherjee's memorial, The Presidential Years. But historians say there is no official letter, treaty, or government document confirming this. It may be a rumor. There are three major points. The death toll from the protests rose sharply from 19 to a total of 72. Over 2,100 injuries which were earlier 300. Reports say some died from gunshot wounds, many others from burns. More than 300 local units, ward offices, rural municipalities, city offices were set on fire and destroyed. Nepal's economy sharply declined. Tourism dropped 30% as people cancelled their tours after the protest. Markets disrupted. Jobs were lost, leading to huge losses. Nepal's politicians had misused their powers. People of Nepal stayed silent, hoping for change and improvement with each presiding government. But now, people united, stood up, and used VPNs to access social media and speak out. The government wasn't doing right, hence, the people raised their voices against it. This resulted in resignation by the PM and other cabinet ministers. This shows the strong voices of the Nepal people. Now the corrupt ministers have paved their way. With Sushila Karki in office, there's hope for brighter future for Nepal. Though one side reflects the saddening deaths of people, while the other echoes the rising voices of liberty. And for any country watching, do not ignore the voices of the youth. They have esteemed power. Remember, do not silence speech, as it validates the wrongdoing. When voices are repeatedly silenced, shockingly they erupt powerfully, carrying the force of truth. Even the strongest walls can fall by the collective strength of many voices. Similarly, corrupt voices among the powerful can be easily swept away. Truth always prevails when fought for. That's the right path.